Hey y'all, welcome to Robyn on the Farm. Today I'm making some brown bread. This is like your Outback Steakhouse brown bread that is so good. I have some chicken thighs and some baby back ribs smoking on the smoker, and so I thought this bread sounded really good to go with that. So I'm gonna use my dough cycle on my bread machine to make this bread, so it's gonna be super simple. And let's just get started. You're gonna start with 3/4 cup hot water. This is about 110 degrees. Just put that into your bread machine bread pan. Then you'll need 1/3 cup of milk. This is just 1/3 cup of whole milk. So just pour that into your bread pan too. And 1/3 cup of honey. All right, now that we have our honey in here, we're gonna want 1 tablespoon of melted butter. So I'm just gonna put that into my bowl, 1 tablespoon of melted butter. Our next ingredient is molasses. Now I'm gonna use sorghum because that's what I have, but you can use molasses, sorghum, cane syrup, any of those dark syrups will work just fine. So I'm gonna use 2 tablespoons of sorghum. Now that I have my molasses in here, I'm gonna put in 2 teaspoons of sugar. It's plain white sugar, 2 teaspoons. Right in there. Okay, our next ingredient is dry powdered milk. We're gonna use 2 tablespoons of this. Dry powdered milk in your baked goods just gives it a really good fluffy texture. I think it helps a lot. I really like using dry powdered milk in my baked goods, in my breads and things. Even though we already put 1/3 cup of milk in here, this is gonna do something different to your bread. So 2 tablespoons dry milk. Next is a teaspoon of salt. So just throw that in there too. Now we want 2 teaspoons of cocoa powder, unsweetened cocoa powder, any kind you want to use, but 2 teaspoons. This, in addition to the molasses or sorghum or whatever you used, this is going to give it that real nice brown bread color. Next is our flour. So you're going to need 3 3/4 cups of flour. You can do any combination of flour that you want. Brown bread usually does have whole wheat flour in it, so I'm going to do 2 cups of whole wheat flour and 1 1/3 cups of bread flour. But you can do whatever you want. You can do all whole wheat if you want, or you can split it up. But this bread really hides the whole wheat really well. Like you can hardly tell that this is whole wheat bread at all. So I'm gonna do 2 cups of whole wheat flour and 1 3/4 cups of bread flour. You can use all-purpose if you want. I have bread flour, so I'm just gonna use the bread flour. So 1 3/4 cups. All right, our very last ingredient for this brown bread is yeast. I'm gonna use 2 teaspoons of my active dry yeast. You can use instant yeast. It really doesn't matter for this bread, but I'm gonna use 2 teaspoons of active dry yeast. Just gonna throw it in there. Now that we have all of our ingredients in here, I'm gonna throw this into my bread machine. I am going to put it in here, and I'm gonna choose the dough cycle. So on your bread machine, look for the dough cycle. I chose the dough cycle and I pressed start, and now I'm gonna let the bread machine do its thing. In just a few minutes, I'm gonna check it and make sure that I have a really nice dough ball. I wanna make sure that all the flour and everything is incorporated and not stuck to the sides. And I will show you at that point. All right, it's just been a couple minutes. Just coming in here with the rubber spatula and getting some of the flour off of the sides to help it incorporate a little bit better. So here is my ball of dough, just about 5 minutes into the kneading cycle. It's looking really good. It's not looking too wet or too dry. I can tell it's not too wet because it's not sticking to the sides of the bowl. So this is exactly what you want it to look like. If yours is sticking real bad, then maybe add maybe 1/8 cup more of flour and try to get it to look like this. And if yours looks a lot more dry than this, then maybe add about a tablespoon of water and see if you can get it to look more like this. All right, it's been about 1.5 hours and my bread machine just beeped and I know that the dough cycle is done. So let's check it out. Yep, it rose, it about doubled. So this is what you want it to look like. So from here, I'm just gonna punch down my dough, literally punch it down. Okay, you wanna get all the little air bubbles out of it before the second rise. So now go ahead and get it out of your bread pan like this. There we go. Okay, so this looks good. Now that you have it on your counter, you're just gonna wanna press it out Gonna divide it into 2 loaves. This is my little cutter tool. I love this thing. This makes working with dough so easy. Okay. Now I have 2 kind of equal portions. So for these loaves of brown bread, instead of using a bread pan, I'm gonna use my cast iron baking sheet. This thing is awesome for cookies and for making loaves of bread. I love this thing so much. If you wanna upgrade your life, get one of these. It's amazing. Okay, so I'm gonna press out my dough, and then I'm gonna roll it up. I'm gonna pull down the top, pull in the sides, kind of press that out, and then continue rolling it into a log. Nice and tight. There we go. Okay, so here is my first loaf. It's looking great. I'm just gonna stick it on this bread pan. I did oil this up really good so nothing sticks. That's important. Make sure you oil, if you're using cast iron, make sure you oil it up really good. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing for this dough. Just gonna pull it down, fold in the sides a little bit, press that all out. This just gives your bread a really good texture. This is how I usually do it, but you can roll it up however you want. The main thing is to kind of get it that length that you want it. All right, here is my second loaf. I'm just gonna plop this on the baking sheet, and I'm gonna let these sit here for about 30 minutes and let them rise for the second time. While they're rising, I'm gonna set my oven to 375 degrees, and then they'll be ready to go in at the end of 30 minutes. All right, our brown bread has been rising for about 30 minutes, and I think it looks great. I'm gonna go ahead and pop this in the oven. I have set my oven to 375 degrees, and I'm gonna let this bake for about 30 minutes. Our brown bread is ready. It's fresh out of the oven. It looks amazing. It smells amazing. It's gonna taste amazing. This beautiful brown bread paired perfectly with our smoked ribs and chicken. But truthfully, most of this bread was gone before dinner even started. Everybody loves this bread with a little bit of butter. It's delicious. Give this bread a try and let me know how you like it. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time on Robyn on the Farm.